Welcome to the whirlwind. Welcome to the maelstrom. Welcome to the chaos that is the Paradise Paradox. I'd like to introduce this episode. It's an interview with my friend Karla Urbina, talking about her creative process as a visual artist, a painter, and a drawer, and about the strange things that she gets involved in mentally, how her creative process, something similar to Dali, or how she just uses the chaos or randomness of her own mind, the misinterpretations of her own eye signals to come up with something new and interesting. So let's talk about that in a second. Remember to check her out on Instagram at Karla the Monster. And also remember to check out my other project, which is the Multiversity Project. You can check that out at multiversitypodcast.com. It's a podcast for higher dimensional learning, and we're talking about all kinds of things on there, different circuits to get activated in your mind, the mystical circuits hidden within your own consciousness, and talking about psychopaths and also about masculine, feminine polarity and all kinds of things. Check that out, multiversitypodcast.com. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it. Welcome, my friend Karla Mariana Urbina. How are you?
Hi. Super.
Great.
Amazing.
So, wonderful. Tremendous. Fantastic. So we're going to talk about a few things because you're working on some interesting projects. I want to talk to you about your art and your creative process and what it's like being an artist trying to make money off your art, and also about the business that you're starting. So,
all right.
Yeah, cool. So this is the thing, like on your Instagram, what is it? Karla the Monster on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. People can see your drawings and your paintings on there, and a lot of them, they're just kind of weird and weird and fascinating, and the things that I would never think to draw. So how do you come up with the ideas for these kind of things?
Oh man. So I think a lot of it, I think the best stuff that I do, or like the things that I really, really like, or that have turned out like into bigger projects, are stuff that I have come up with while I had like turned off my brain as much as I could. Where you just kind of like sit and start listening to music, and you're just drawing, or you're doodling, or you're listening to somebody else talk, or just put on like a podcast or a TV show as like background noise, and just kind of let whatever come out. And so I start making like these little doodles usually. And I'll stop once I have filled a page of just like little tiny scribbles and doodles. Sometimes it's just shapes. Occasionally it's like a face or like a random body part or whatever. And then I'll grab one of those and be like, oh, this is cool, I guess. And then I'll take that and I'll try and like jumble it together onto something else. And if it's not that, I suppose like a lot of it is like a reflection, I guess, of myself, which sounds pretty like self-absorbed. But a lot of the things that I draw are things that like either I think of myself or things that I wish that I was.
Okay, I'm just looking at your Instagram now, and it's got like this human being. It looks like they're being torn apart, and inside you can kind of see that it's like cardboard or something like that. And then another one is like this naked figure of a woman. It looks like she has a kind of thimble on her head, or instead of a head, and she's holding this giant dildo which is strapped on. She's wearing nothing but underwear.
Uh, so is that is that how you see yourself?
Well, I mean, see the whole thing. The blue one, the one that's like carved out and empty. I was kind of going through like this really weird. I think there was like a month last year where I was just like not doing so well, and so I just started drawing a bunch of like stuff in blue. I have that one, and I have another one that's also like a darker blue, but that one was my favorite, and I finished that one first, and that one's colored pencils. And I was just feeling like very like just like hollowed out. Like a lot of the things in my life had been like taken a lot of energy from me at that particular moment in time. So I figured I'd like draw that out. And I think the idea I had drawn in like a little sketch at one point, and then I blew it up and I made it into like the big thing. I think it's like, it's not too big, probably like from like my chest to my face. It's not a huge drawing. And it's all Prismacolors. And the other one has a lot to do with like this whole thing. Like 5 or 6 years ago was when I originally made that drawing. There was this whole thing in Guadalajara about how there was going to be this huge meetup of like guys that were like super anti-feminist and blah 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 blah. And I just kind of thought the whole thing was a little bit ridiculous and kind of funny. And I was like, man, what are these guys like so terrified of? Like, what is so horrifying about like a strong lady or like a girl that doesn't like, that's like thinks a little bit differently or looks like something else, or I don't know, whatever, all the things that they were thinking. And I just thought, I think the scariest thing for those guys is just like a chick with a strap on that's going to bend them over and stick it in them.
The way that the weird spiky head or the thimble on her head or whatever it's supposed to be, what does that represent?
So it's like a helmet, and it's like it's supposed to be like iridescent. I don't think I have like the finished picture on that one, but it's like colored in to look like kind of iridescent. And the whole thing is like, I was thinking about like, sure, there's like this whole big feminist movement, blah 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 blah,
yeah.
But it's like lost a lot of focus, and there's still like a lot of women and girls and stuff that don't really have a voice. And I feel like we've focused on like this whole other thing that we end up kind of like hanging ourselves.
Right.
So instead of, I don't know,
people get like caught up on petty issues which maybe aren't really helping people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or things that are really silly, or maybe not silly like in the long run, but I just feel like that's like not something to be making such a huge fuss over right now.
Yeah. But, well, I remember that there was the movement in Melbourne. There was Occupy Melbourne, and people were, activists were coming out, and they were trying to have this discussion about where the country was going politically and how to improve things and what needs to change in culture. And basically this big open forum. Nobody knew exactly where it was going, but the police shut it down. They kicked people out of the square and everything. And in the coming months, they tried to make a resurgence in setting up tents in other parks and stuff. And at one stage, there were people wearing tents as if they were clothes. It was a little strange. And the police like tore the tent off this woman. She got, she was upset. She was wearing nothing but underwear under the tent, and other people got upset. And then they started to do this weird stuff in protest, like, hey, how could you take that tent off that woman? We're all going to dress like tents. And I was like, okay, you've become a laughing stock. You've become your own parody. So it was too easy for people not to take them seriously after that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty unfortunate. Like, just things get lost in like all this like loud screaming of people just shouting about things that are irrelevant or silly. And it's funny because the guy that I collaborated with who did the background on it, So I had originally envisioned this lady not in a strip club, because I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is a stripper. Like, to me, it was just like a naked lady with a strap on. And I just thought it was like a funny thing. And this guy, like, the first thing that came to his mind is, oh, clearly she's a stripper. So he did like this whole thing, and I think that was like really perfect for the same reason that's just like people getting distracted by other stuff, or you becoming like a mockery of the thing that you're supposed to be standing up for and things like that. So I really liked how it turned out in the end.
So do you think that made some commentary on what kind of strip clubs your friend went to?
I have no idea what kind of strip clubs he's been going to. Pretty gnarly ones from the look of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird here in Chile. You know, they don't call them strip clubs; they call them nightclubs. So you have to watch out.
Yeah, important distinction.
Yes, yeah. So you say you used colored pencils. What's your normal medium?
Well, usually that's it. No, colored pencils. That's my favorite. I think it's the one that I have the most like mastery over. I guess you could say. I just started using oils because I wanted to make stuff that's a little bit more permanent. Because the thing with like colored pencils is after a while, like with light and stuff, the colors do tend to fade quite a bit, or they like rub off and things like that. And I know you can like put like stuff over it, but I just thought it would be nice to do stuff in like a more solid medium, and also to do things that are a little bit more realistic and more towards like painterly and artistic and less like illustration. Not that I don't like illustration, and I don't want to like get too far away from it, because I love doing that too, but I also want to do like bigger things. And with color pencil, I guess you can do like pretty gigantic stuff, but man, it takes forever.
Have you ever done illustration like of a book?
I haven't, but I want to. Right now, I've just done the comic. I think I'm gonna keep. Yeah, I did the comic, but it was pretty short. It was like 11 pages, and I did all of that one digital. So, and I think I'm gonna keep doing that one. I'm not sure what the plan is with that. The guy that I was working with who wrote the story needs to like get back to me, and I think he's still working on some stuff. But we're supposed to be working on that this year, and it's supposed to be like 11 volumes of like this thing.
That's cool. What's the comic called?
Oh my god, I can't remember right now.
Okay. You remember what it's about?
Yeah, so it's like, so it's these two girls, and supposedly it's like this future where the sun has like gone away, like it's like exploded at this point. There's no more sun in the sky. So the earth has gone completely cold, and this is in a future where I guess the sun exploding didn't affect anything besides it just not being there. And so humans have like pretty much been eradicated, but the ones that were left have like certain mutations, and they've also used technology to like stay alive. And so these girls have like this like bioluminescent stuff all over their bodies because it's so dark, and they have like implants and things like that. And the whole thing is like this going to be their journey as they like emotionally and spiritually accept what has become of humanity and why they need to have like all these implants and things like that. Like it's supposed to be like this whole meta crazy thing. It's really cool. Super fumado, pero super excited to get that done.
Okay. Yeah. About your process again. I remember once we were hanging out and you saw something on my ceiling, like because this is plaster or whatever it was, the concrete or the paint peeling or something like that, and you were like, I see something there, and you started making a sketch, and you could see like you could imagine these shapes as like two men or like a face and or floating off into the distance or something, but something strange like that. Is that a common thing that you do, or?
I mean, I feel like this is a thing that like everybody does. Like, I don't think it's like only me. If you ever just kind of stare at something long enough, or like look at a weird shape in clouds, or
Yes.
I don't know, if you're like sitting on the toilet and in front of you, you don't throw out your phone and the wall in front of you has a bunch of like speckles or something, and you just start like drifting.
Yes.
So also it helps that I don't have glasses, so everything's like a blurry smudge if I'm not. Well, if I wasn't wearing glasses that day.
Okay, so it's more open to interpretation. Yeah, I guess everybody has that experience of looking at clouds and imagining what they are, but I think artists don't necessarily use that. But I do remember reading about Dali's process, and he would sit in a bathroom like you're describing, and kind of let his eyes go loose and maybe go a little cross-eyed or something, and because of the speckles on the tiles, they would start to interplay, and he would start to make something out there.
Yeah, well, it's exactly like that, except I just have to take off my glasses, and then you can just let your brain fill in all those extra pieces. And but it's the same thing that I was telling you like earlier, kind of like turning off a little bit and just kind of letting your mind wander.
Yes.
That's always when you can do like the best stuff, because if you're focusing too hard on like a thing, it makes it just 1,000 times more difficult to actually finish a project or a thing like a drawing or anything like that. Whenever I have to like sit and draw a specific thing that someone asked me for, it takes me 3,000 times longer, and it usually doesn't come out as good as it would have if I was just doing like my own weird shit.
Yes. Well, this is really interesting. This is actually, it's one of the key themes in this book called Impro by Keith Johnson. So it's a book about improvisational theater. And he talks a lot about the creative process, and how it's basically what you're saying about how if you try to nail things down and know exactly every step of the process, or do things correctly, even worse, then you're going to run into a lot of problems. You're going to like run out of inspiration. But if you're basically just playing around, just mucking around and seeing what works, that's when inspiration just comes all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you've kind of got like the initial sketch down, you can always go back and fix things. You can just like draw over them, paint over them, whatever.
Yeah.
Or do it again.
Yeah. So sometimes I used to write songs I would just freestyle lyrics for like half an hour or something, and record the whole thing and listen back, and I'd be like, that's something interesting that I said. And, it might not have even made sense, but I could take it and turn it into something that made sense or was more evocative or something like that.
That's exactly, I mean, that's a lot of the thing that like I do now. I try to like draw like a random thing, or like I'll see a smudge in my notebook and I'll add like eyes to it or whatever it is. And that always works. I feel like that's a really good way to like push yourself creatively. Though I have been working on like making things look right, like getting all the technical side of it down. I took a course, I think like started last year, just to kind of like refine some skills here and there, like practice anatomy. Every once in a while I'll just draw a bunch of hands because I know, or feet, because those are always super hard. And I had like a teacher tell me once, you have to know like how to create before you can destroy. So I really took that to heart. I was like, oh, I need to like get this perfectly right, and then I'm gonna like do weird shit.
Okay. So Yeah, it's kind of like they say the rules are different for the master than the student. It's something like that. You have to
Yeah.
know how to do things the right way before you can break all the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can like do whatever you want no matter what, but
Yeah.
I just really wanted to have that like as like a stepping stone for me, or just to make my work better, because I've been drawing since like forever, and really since before I could really say that I can't even really say that I've mastered like every like making really amazing like technical, like a perfect human drawing. I don't think I could do it right now, but I've gotten a lot better, and I still do like all my other stuff, and I feel like it also has given me more freedom, because now it's like the things that I make look just more aesthetic than they did before.
So yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. Actually, you must have been going to school longer than that, because you were already in school before I left Guadalajara, or was that a different course?
What was I doing then? When
It was some kind of design course or something.
yeah, I was doing an illustration course. Yeah, I was doing an illustration course because I was like, man, my composition is shit. I need to like work on this. So I did an illustration course, and also just to like refine some skills. And then a friend of mine that I met at that course was like, oh, you should go to this school. It's super, super good. So I got into the school, and then I was there for like a year, and then I was like, I don't like this, and so I left. I also got in a fight with one of my professors because he was being a dick, so I left. And then it's just there was just so many like I work like I guess it's my fault too from like putting off like going to school or anything until I was like way older. So I'm like 24. I'm working like a 40-hour a week job, and I'm going to these like classes, and like teachers will like not show up, or like we'll get there and be like, oh well, just work on what you were working on last week, and I'm like, I could have been home doing this. You could have just like texted me, and I would have turned. So I got frustrated with like things like that, and
now, this is a school you're paying for, right? It's not a public school where they're getting paid by the government. It's actually your money.
No, this was like the design course was a private like institution in El Cav, but the that was like I guess like a technical degree or whatever is a government school. It's El CEDAR. So
okay, but they're both terrible in terms of teacher absence.
Not Cav. Cav was really good. My teacher at Cav was really, really, really good, and I really liked going to class with him. But it was only 3 months. And then the one that I didn't like was was with IMBA. Though a lot of people really like it. I think it's just me that like I was just I no longer had the patience to like really sit in a classroom environment. Like I was getting like it was taking too much time out of my week. And it was easier for me to just produce at my house, to go home, draw, and keep going.
Yeah. So, well, that's a thing too. So, do you think that for the majority of artists, maybe they just benefit from working on their own, or do you think that people can gain a lot from having a teacher and having more structure?
I think it really varies from person to person. I mean, I've known some people that like, went to like amazing schools and they do amazing work and it worked really well for them. I've also heard of people that didn't go to school at all. They like they don't like going to school, and they don't like working with other people, so they don't do that. I do like working with like other people. The course that I did right now was with like a friend of mine, and it was super cool because really we just went to kind of like hang out and draw together and like get some extra tips and learn to oil paint, because that's something I didn't know. And that was really good because I got to meet a lot of people, and I did like pick up some skills from like watching some of the other artists that were there in the studio, because there was like students and then there was like people who were just artists and they hung out there. So I just kind of like sit around and watch them work, or they'd come by and they'd be like, oh, this is really good. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you missed like this little thing here. And I'd be like, oh, well, thank you. So that was helpful to me. But I mean, this was something that took like, it was like 2 days a week. So it was easier for me to like go. It's not like they left me homework that I had to do. And like, it was a very loose course. So we got to like hang out and drink. So I was like, this is exactly the kind of school that I need. Thank you very much. Someone understands me.
All right. Well, the universe provided.
It's perfect.
Yeah. I guess you don't even remember the first time you picked up a pen or pencil and started drawing.
No, I mean, according to my mom, I've always drawn. I was always one of those kids that like drew on walls. Like pissed off my mom a lot for that. Or drew on desks, or drew on the sides of notebooks. So it's just like a thing that I did. I do remember the first class I took. It was in school. I was in like middle school, and so they like force you to take like elective courses. So obviously I picked like art and theater because, you know, those were the ones that were most interesting to me. And
this is in Plano, Texas.
Yeah, this is in Texas. And I did like theater, but I liked art more, so I kept on doing that. And then I came to Guadalajara, and then I kept like trying to look for ways to draw, or like a class, or like I'd buy stuff and I'd just sit around. And so I guess I've like always done this, really.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes people say this thing about writers. They say, if you don't write every day, like if you're not compelled to write every day, then you should just give up. That's kind of what the mentality is sometimes. I don't really agree with that. But do you feel like you are compelled to draw every day?
I mean, God, like, there are days where I'm like, man, I wish I was drawing, but I can't. I like don't have time, or like I'm just exhausted. Like my brain is completely killed. I think like the worst time that I went through that was with like teleperformance, because I was just, it's like a job that really like sucks the life out of you. So like the call center type jobs.
Yeah.
And you just don't even want to like, you just like get home and shut it off, and you just turn on the TV and blah. But right now I've been drawing a lot, so I haven't posted anything on my Instagram in like a couple of weeks, but because the drawings I've been making have been for existing for the other thing. And yeah.
Okay.
We do that.
Cool. So how is it going in terms of getting recognition or getting monetary success or anything like that? Like you've had at least one exhibition.
So now I've done a few. I think, where am I at? I'm at like 5 now. Yeah, a couple I did with the school that I was going to, so that was great. And then a couple more I did with this group of artists that I was going to like this studio with, and they started like inviting me to do stuff and like to their like collectives and just all the shit that they're doing. They've been like, hey, you should come by, and I'd be like, oh, okay, great. So I brought, the last one I did was in February. It was February 14th actually, because the whole thing was like erotic art, and so I took like the lady with the big dildo. And
did I class that as erotic, or you just kind of figured it fits in?
I figured it would work. I figured nobody would notice. It works. And I mean, so I
it's
did that one.
Provocative.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of like weird stuff. I think like one of the favorites of that show was someone drew like this chick that was just like getting fucked by a fly, and that was bizarre. That was really cool.
It's just like the movie.
Yeah. It was really it was like a super creepy drawing. I really liked it. I think that one sold. And before that I did another one, but on that one I took more drawings, but only prints sold. This one I didn't sell anything because well, the drawing we were selling it I think for like 12,000 pesos. That's what we decided
like
on.
$600.
Yeah, it's not super expensive, but you know, it was like a lot of the times it's hard to like sell stuff at shows and whatnot. Then they invited me to another one, but I didn't have any new work to take to that one, so I wasn't able to do it. And I didn't have any time to finish any new work. But so recognition is difficult. It's really, really hard. I guess now with like Instagram and all that stuff, but it kind of feels like whoring yourself out a little bit. And you have to be like, every day you have to be posting and you have to put up stories and show people all the stuff that you're working on. And sometimes the stuff that I draw is just, it's shitty and I don't want to share it with anyone. Yeah. And so I don't feel like posting something on Instagram every single day just to like gain followers. I rather just post things that I really like or that I'm working on at the moment. And if people follow me, well, cool. If they don't, well, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Here, eventually, maybe.
Sure. Well, that's something I wonder about sometimes. Like, once you get to a certain level of skill in something, and even just the doodle or the sketch or the throwaway verse or whatever is such a high level compared to regular people that they'll probably be blown away and be like, "Whoa, she created this just for a laugh." And it's hard to tell, when you're talented at something, it's hard to tell what people will really appreciate.
I mean, I guess I feel like I'm not there yet. I'm like, hang on a minute. I feel like I still have a lot of work to do. And I see, like, I guess I follow a lot of like some pretty like hardcore artists. I think one of my favorites is this guy. I think his like Instagram handle is Kim Jungus. Like, he's a cartoonist who does like,
Kim Jong-il's brother. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but this guy's like an illustrator. He's super fucking good. Like, the man just all his stuff is, I guess, like doodling, but they're ridiculously good pieces and they're huge, and he just uses like a brush pen, and he doesn't need to like make any sort of sketch or anything first, and he'll throw out these like amazing perspectives and like people on motorcycles and doing like crazy stuff and just like animals being weird. Like, his stuff is ridiculous. I'll send you his Instagram later. But I love his work, and I always like look at like people like that and I'm like, oh, I need to work harder. They're ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I do remember like first time I went to an MC battle in Newcastle, I said to one of the guys, this fellow MC Gypsy, because I've seen him in a battle, and I was like, well, I came down, I wanted to see what the skill level was like and, if I could compete. And he was like, well, listen, man, there's always going to be someone better. It's probably going to be someone worse as well. So why not just try it? Like, put yourself out there. I think he was right.
Yeah. I mean, I am putting myself out there, but I'm very tentatively doing it. It's just like, I'm slowly like testing the waters. But I am trying to like do more shows and hang out with more people that do stuff and just like try and pick up stuff from them and be around the right people, because a lot of this is really being around the right people. I was hanging out with a group of people that really didn't have anything to do with the art, which is fine because they're amazing and I love my friends.
Yeah.
But I also needed to make friends that are in this and that know, like, oh, there's a gallery show coming up, or oh, this person will buy your stuff, or oh, come hang out with me, let's do this thing. Because it's really hard to like put that stuff up on your own. I know that there are people that like do everything by themselves, but I am not one of those people. I definitely like having like como una red, what is it?
Network.
Like a network of people that I can like turn to and get some help from and advice. And because there's always someone better than you, and I always like being around people that are better than me at stuff, so I can like soak up information from them.
Yes. Wow, that's really cool. It's good that you're building that kind of network. Yeah. So what about the business that you're starting?
Yeah. So this is just starting. It's a baby business. Me and a friend who lives in Monterrey, he is a very, very good friend of mine from a couple of years back. I think actually from around the time that I met you, because I met him at the first like the yet at Kev, and we just got along really well. And then he moved to Monterrey and I hadn't seen him, and then he was like, hey, you want to start this business? Like, we could totally like launch a streetwear line. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I think we started like in December, just to like put together a business plan and get together and start doing like illustrations for this. And the whole idea is we're going to do like a streetwear line. We're just starting with shirts right now, but eventually, fingers crossed, it's going to be, jackets, hoodies, bombers, truckers, shoes, even if possible. So, but that is just starting, and it's going to be existing is hard. And we're just on Instagram right now, so we have we're doing like a soft launch. And
Sorry, existing is hard. That's the brand name.
That's the brand name. Existing is hard.
Cool. Just to clarify. Yeah.
The Instagram is at existingis_ but hopefully I'm in charge of putting together a website, so I got to do that like this week and get the store together and do all of that stuff. But the whole idea behind it is just like, well, me and my buddy, we're both kind of what's the word? What's a nice way of putting it? Oh, tumultuous.
Okay.
We got ourselves into a lot of shit, and we've always been like, what is it? We have like a little bit of like dark humor, and we kind of look at life in like why am I still here? But God, I'm so tired. And so we just were like thinking about this and just kind of like, bullshitting at each other. And we thought it would be funny to like put some of this stuff on shirts. And that's kind of how the whole thing started.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. Just wait.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you're trying things out and starting a business and everything.
I hope it does well. This is like the first time I've ever tried to do anything like this. I've never run a business before. He has, so that's at least he has like some know-how, but I'm going into this like blind, and I'm trying to like learn as much as possible too. I've been like just looking at other brands and YouTubers that do stuff like this and seeing what they do and what it is that we're going to need to like collect, and where we're going to do sale, how we're going to make sales, how we're going to move all this stuff. And yeah, like invest in all this. I'm really, really excited. I'm also terrified, but I'm very excited.
So do you have some idea of how to distribute them, or do you have some retailers that are looking into it, or anything like that?
Right now, we're just going to do over our own website. And But the idea is to start with like really small, like local retailers, like at skate shops and tattoo shops, because that's really like where our market is. It's like street kids, like, you know, skateboarders hanging out, people who like to drink caguamas on the street, like that's where we're at. But
yeah. But there's a lot of cool t-shirt shops in Guadalajara, a lot of them. And so yeah, some of them are like more hippie, some more skater, some more cholo. Yeah.
And the thing that we're hoping sets us apart is that a lot of these places are really small and they don't really put too much into their marketing or things like that. And my friend studied marketing and like public relations and all that stuff. So our like big hit is going to be like trying to make it into something viral and like posting stickers and Instagramming as much as possible and getting our friends to and having that kind of like snowball. We really just put up the Instagram account like a week ago. So far it's going okay. We got our stickers printed and we're going to start like, hopefully you'll start seeing that come up on like my Instagram and like maybe other people's Instagrams that you're following us, and putting that up in bars in Guadalajara and Monterrey because he's over there. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So where do you see the project being in like a year?
Oh my God. In like a year?
I feel like I put so much pressure on you, but you know, I guess you're going to think about this.
Gosh, well, hopefully.
What's the best case scenario?
In a year. Best case scenario, hopefully we have at least like one major little shops to like start selling our stuff would be amazing. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that in a year, but that would be like a really big springboard into the next step.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm very excited. I'm terribly nervous. So it's we're trying very hard, and I'm putting like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. And we like literally just finished buying everything that we needed to get to actually like put out product. So you'll see that soon too. But we need to take some. We're gonna do like a photo shoot soon, and we're still gonna do like a little bit of marketing, and hopefully it'll go well.
Yeah. Are you gonna be the model?
I am not gonna be the model.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't feel like I don't like being on camera.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like my thing. We're gonna get some like little tiny like little models and like some, and also it's mostly guy clothing. So we're trying to find some like some guy models to do this and that have kind of like the look that we're going for. So yeah, it's a lot harder to find guy models than girl models though. But and he just moved over there, so we're still trying to like get contacts and things in Monterrey, and I'm trying to like run everything on this side. It's been a little bit difficult because we're so far away from each other, and I think it's like it can both be something that's like a strong point because we have two places that we can easily sell and get merchandise to, but at the same time, like if you're trying to coordinate stuff and do everything over Skype calls, and some things like need to be like physically done, and I keep having to like, I just went over there and I had just been in February, and then I went back right now. I came back yesterday, so it's been very expensive.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Actually, I know someone in Monterrey, and he's an entrepreneur. His name is Humberto Quintanilla, and we did an interview with him years ago. He was working on this project with the Bitcoin stuff, but I wonder if he would have any tips for you. I don't know.
Well, maybe any tips would be great. Anything we can get would be fantastic.
Yeah. He might know some entrepreneur meetups in Monterey or something.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Be great for me to get on to go there. He's also it's actually his second business because he's also just started a marketing firm as well. So he's really got his hands full over there, and he's trying to get that up and running too. And I'm over here like working, so we really have our time split. But the other company is doing, the marketing company is like technically working for existing is hard, and those two things are going to be like taking each other up. It'll be good, but he does have his hands pretty full. It's just the two of us really, and another friend over there who's doing more stuff for Rooster Media, his other company. But yeah, it's just started. We're barely picking this up off the ground, and we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of out of questions. So is there anything else you want to say about art or about business or anything?
I don't know. It's like the longest I've talked in a while.
You're being cooped up in your room doodling.
I've been cooped up in my room. I haven't done much, except work. But I guess, I don't know. I just, whatever it is that anybody does anytime, just put as much effort as you can into it. Eventually things will work out.
Yeah. Great. Well, cool. Thanks for coming on the show with me, and thanks for. Well, I remember when you told me that you had that first exhibition, and I got so excited because I wanted, I love your artwork and everything. I love, I put some of the ones you gave me. I still had them hanging in my apartment in Guadalajara for ages, and I was just so happy that you took it to another level, and still happy that you keep going with it. So good for you.
Thanks, Kurt. Thank you so much for, thinking of me for interviewing. I didn't realize I had stuff to talk about.
Well, it seems like you do.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks for coming along. Remember to check out Karla the Monster on Instagram. I'll put the link in the description for all you crazy, weird art fiends out there in the scene who want to get your teeth green, if you know what I mean. That doesn't make any sense, but check that out. At Karla the Monster on Instagram. Thanks for listening. Stay cool, stay creative, stay grateful.